All right, here's our lesson on basic exponent rules. So remember from today, exponents are a shortcut for multiplication. So for example, 3x squared y to the third is the same as 3 times x, 2 x's, times y times y times y. All right? And our rule for today, there are going to be some shortcuts you might notice, but in general, when in doubt, expand it out. And I will say that over and over again, but that's your best bet for this whole little section that we're doing today and a little bit next week. Okay, so our first example, 2xy squared times 9x to the fourth y to the fifth. So when in doubt, expand it out. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. 2 times x times y times 9 times x times x times x times x, 4 x's and 5 y's. Now this does take a little bit of writing, but it just makes it a little easier to see. Now we can group everything that we need to group together. So some things that I notice can go together. My numbers are alike, so they can go together. And 2 times 9 is going to give me 18. All right, my x's can go together. Got 1x there, 4 more there, so altogether that's x to the fifth. And then lastly, my y's, I've got 2 y's, 5 more, so altogether that is y to the fifth. All right, so we're just simplifying and writing every problem. We're just condensing it into one term. All right, this is a division problem. So again, we're going to group the pieces together, but first we need to expand it out. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is expand. So I've got 3 times x times y all over 12 times x, and then 5 y's. And now this time we're dividing. So I'm still going to group my numbers together, but I'm going to divide. So this is the fraction 3 over 12. I can divide both of those by 3 to simplify, and that's going to give me 1 over 4. All right, now my x's can group together. So if I group my x's together, we want to see if anything cancels because we're dividing. So you may notice that these x's cancel each other and you're left with 1x on the top. So I'm just going to write x on the top. The last thing I've got to compare are my y's. So I'm looking here at all these y's. If I were you in my notes, I wouldn't be circling these. I just want you to see that they're grouped together. So in my y's, the things that cancel, I've got one set of y's that cancels, and I'm left with 4. And notice this time they're in the denominator. So I'm going to have y to the fourth power on the bottom because there's 4 y's. So if I rewrite that, just so it looks a little bit clearer, my final answer is x over 4y to the fourth. You could write 1x, but remember the 1 doesn't change the value. Okay, second to last example. This time, we have to work from the outside in. So you may want to put a little star in your notes, work from the outside in. The first thing that I see, the biggest thing that I see is this cube or power of 3 on the parentheses. So that means the parentheses themselves happen 3 times. All right, that's because the 3 is on the parentheses. And then inside of the parentheses, I've got 2x squared y. So I have 2 we can expand the x's if you want to. I may not do that today. I'll show that to you in class tomorrow. So 2x squared y, 2x squared y. And now this is multiplication because everything's bumped up together, so we just group the like things together. There are 3 2's. That means 2 times 2 times 2. All right, and 2 times 2 times 2, that is 8. Okay, and then I've got x squared, x squared, x squared. When I count that, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I write that as x to the 6th. And lastly, I've got my y's. If you don't want to forget to count them, you could put little 1 exponents up here just to count that way, but there are 3 y's altogether, so that is y to the 3rd.